Hello and welcome back to the Gold Newsletter. My name is Kai Hoffmann. I'm the JR Mining Guy on Twitter and the CEO of the SOAR Financial Group. Also, your co-host here on this channel, together with our good friend Brien Lundin. And it is a pleasure to introduce a new company today. It's Monumental Energy, and we are joined in a few short seconds by its founder, Maximilian Sali. And we're going to talk about the assets that they have in the company already. They have a cash flowing asset or investment in the company, and they have lithium assets in Chile as well. So we're going to talk about the history of those projects. How did it come about? Why are they invested in oil and gas while they're also exploring for lithium? We'll get to that, and we will ask the founder himself. Max, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome on the program.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, Max, why don't we start off with a quick introduction, 30, 60 seconds. Who's Monumental?
So Monumental Energy Corp, formerly Monumental Minerals, did a name change back in November, kind of a bit of a shift in the company. I founded the company 2021. We came out as Monumental Minerals, and over time kind of realized that, with the difficulties in the markets, it was time to get back into energy. I came from an energy background. I was an investor in oil and gas back in 2009, 10, 11, 12. And an asset came up that we were available to invest in, and I took the opportunity. And so we became Monumental Energy Corp. Really good structure, 58 million shares out. I know where most of the stock is. I'm the largest shareholder. If you look at my insider filings, I've bought stock as often as I can. There's a lot of things happening now, which is why there's been no buying. But really happy with what we're doing, really happy with the cash position. We're always trading between, probably right now, we're working on a few things that'll up the cash position very shortly. But good vehicle, very good shareholders, and very good assets. And I look forward to talking to you about the company.
Absolutely. No, Max, appreciate that introduction here. Real quick, you touched on a couple things in terms of cap structure. Our regular viewers know that. That's usually the second question I ask. Like, catch us up on the cap structure. How many shares out? How much cash do you have? And you mentioned shareholders already as well.
Yeah, so 58 million shares. I can tell you where 80+% of the stock is. Some very good funds in the company, some very big high net worth investors. We have a firm that we work with out of London called Ocean Wall. They represent about 18 million shares, high net worth investors. So very tight capital structure, very good shareholders. I think our last financials were over $3 million in the bank. We're working on a few things to up that cash currently. And this investment into the oil and gas industry should allow us to be paid a dividend upon success of some production wells. And that means I don't have to go back to you or anyone for capital for the foreseeable future.
No, fantastic. Awesome. Run us a bit through that oil and gas aspect of the company, of course, because you mentioned to me beforehand that might finance the exploration activities on the lithium side. So let's start with the cash cow of the company. Run us a bit through that. Like, how did that come about, and sort of what's the art of the deal? Like, what's the history of it?
So we're a tier 2 company on the TSX-V. Technically, we weren't allowed to invest in another TSX-V company. We had to get a waiver. We did that. We have very good lawyers, and I thank the exchange for allowing us to do this. But we took a position in a company called New Zealand Energy Corp. And one of my first investments as an oil and gas investor back in 2010-11 was New Zealand Energy Corp and TAG Oil. And if you look at the charts of those stock, TAG went from 10 cents to 11.11. New Zealand went from a quarter private round to almost $4. Real natural gas and Brent crude pricing revenue. And what happened is New Zealand Energy, as the price of gas and oil came off in 2014, kind of sat there dormant for 8-9 years. And we had an opportunity to invest as a company in the asset late last year. And I just actually sent out a new deck to our shareholder list for Monumental. The new deck is available at New Zealand Energy Corp if you go to their website. But this company could potentially generate 24 million pounds, 50 million New Zealand dollars, 40 million Canadian dollars this year over the next 12 months. And their market cap is 7. So there will be a financing coming on New Zealand. Most of that is filled. But, being an investor in the markets and watching the gold stocks and watching everything, the toughest thing right now is raising capital. I don't need to tell you that. And so what the plan is with New Zealand Energy, we are the second largest shareholder, is when they produce, they will pay a dividend to their shareholders, i.e. Monumental, and we can use that cash along with potential farm-in agreements to farm in on some oil and gas wells potentially. and I don't have to go to the market to finance my lithium assets.
How much do you own of New Zealand Energy, and when do you expect first payment to arrive? Like, when's the start of production there?
So we own 1 million shares. We will be investing a bit more in the next private placement. We're about 13% of the company. Currently, there's only 8.2 million shares out. It's super, super tight structure. This financing that they'll be doing in the next couple of weeks will allow them to start drilling the wells almost immediately. They do have small production now, but the big gas well should come online, I would say, early May. And very shortly after that, they'll pay a dividend to their shareholders. So anyone that is a shareholder as of record date will get paid a dividend.
No, fantastic. Awesome. Interesting. So 40 million, you own about 12, 13% roughly of that you mentioned, right? That's what I'm seeing also here in the deck.
8.2 million shares out in New Zealand. We own 13, and we'll be trying to farm in on some of those assets and then also increasing our position in the next financing.
Okay. What's the... how do you call it? Like the business purpose of Monumental Energy? Because you also have the lithium assets. Like, do you see yourself more going towards the natural gas direction here? Because that's where your background is. And what role do the lithium assets play moving forward?
So I consider us now lithium and liquids. Oil and gas is very much like lithium brine. Everything flows up. The reason I got back into lithium is I had a company that I was a part of a founder of called Advantage Lithium. We sold it to Orcobre, now Elchem, in 2020 for 69 million. But anyone that held onto that stock, it ended up being worth about 400 million. And so, I've seen the lithium cycle go up and down since 2012. And one thing I think people forget is, lithium prices have significantly come off. But where they are now, companies like Lithium X was sold for 265 million at this price. And they just had about 1.5 million tons. And so lithium brine has always been the most economic form of lithium. And it's the returns are unbelievable. If you look at a PEA for lithium brine, it is substantial. And so you see all the hard rock companies come off, but the lithium brine has always been a place for me to be. And Chile has some of the highest grade assets in the world. And I truly appreciate the fact that we have these great salars. It's taking us a while to be able to move things along. In Chile, you don't need permits to drill lithium. You need community approval. And we're very close to community approval, and we're very, very close to a deal on our secondary asset. And so, Chile's been kind of going through a reform of how to work the lithium, but they're very close to getting things done. And these are some of the highest grade salars in the world. Everyone says patience is a virtue. I wish hurry up could be a virtue, but we're very close to working on those. And the cash flow from New Zealand should fund the lithium.
Yeah. Okay, just to clarify, New Zealand is just a cash investment that you're hoping will be a dividend, but it's coming from your neck of the woods, your area of expertise. Just so people don't get confused that you might be putting actually a drill in the ground or something. I just want to clarify, right?
So there is potential for us to farm in on some oil workover wells. We're trying to negotiate those now, but at the moment, it is strictly an investment, and that dividend should be able to bring us extra cash to finance the lithium exploration.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, no, appreciate you clarifying that, Max. Let's talk a bit more about the history of the lithium projects down in Chile. What kind of historic work has been done? Tell us a bit about the deals of acquiring the asset as well, royalties, and who was the vendor.
So we had acquired these assets through an option agreement with Lithium Chile. They're one of the largest landholders of lithium salars in Chile. They're publicly traded. LITH is their symbol. Their COO is our CEO, Michelle DeCecco. She's fantastic. They just announced a big deal with Airmet to do some DLE technology on 4 salars for $20 million US. And so, these assets came about when the price was higher. We did a financing on the back of our main asset, Laguna Blanca, which the grades are up to 1,230 milligrams per liter. The lithium to magnesium ratio is unbelievable. We've sent the data room to a lot of people. And essentially what we're waiting on now is the community so we can put some drill holes into the ground. We're very close with that, and we have the capital to do that. But at the end of the day, whether lithium's 80,000 a ton or 20,000 a ton, with these grades of salars, when you get results, it's going to move the needle no matter what.
Now, tell me a bit more about the community engagement there. Like, what needs to go, or what does the community need to see from you to give approval?
So you know what? That is probably the most important question on this call. So the community, it's called the Tokenau community. The only company they work with is SQM in Albemarle. That's the second largest producing salar in the world, or the number one producing salar, but Chile's the second largest producer based on that one salar. And it's trying to get a deal done with the community. And a lot of companies, legally speaking, if you have the mineral rights, you can go and drill, but there's social license. So there's a few companies, and I won't name them, that are in the Atacama that tried to drill without community approval, and they'll never be able to drill again. And so what I've found is you're going through different ESG people and different groups. But what we did in November is we did a management change, and we brought on a very smart hydrogeologist, Mariana. She's based in Chile. She's in San Pedro. She knows the communities, and she's been able to get more done in 3 months than the previous management in 2 years. And it really comes down to the person. You need someone boots on the ground who knows them. And I think, at the end of the day, the community wants a deal done properly. They don't want to be rushed, and you have to treat people properly. And once this deal comes to fruition, we then submit our drilling plans, and we start drilling. You don't need a permit.
No, fantastic, awesome. Okay, what attracted you to the asset? Like in general, like what were some of the historic work that you've seen there, Max?
It's grade. You know what? It's grade. We had an asset in Advantage called Kachari. It ended up having 6.4 million tons at about 450 milligrams, and Orocobre or Alchem is now producing from that asset. And so when you see grades like this in Chile, it's off the beaten path. It's not in the Atacama. It's a bit farther away. So you're not in a strategic area. What's going to happen in Chile is anyone with assets in the Atacama will never be able to produce. That's SQM and Albemarle and the government. Good luck having an asset there trying to build another production facility near those giants. So we're farther away, which means we're strategically in a good location. We have good grade, and we're working on a couple of other things I can't really discuss, but it's location and it's grade. And in Chile, they're going to block off a number of salars for environmental. They're going to block off a bunch of salars for strategic. And as far as we are aware, Laguna Blanca, our big salar, is not on any of those lists, which is a good thing. And so we're hoping to get to exploring in the next few months.
Perfect. Yeah, no, once you get the community approval, like do you have it mapped out already, your next steps? I'm sure you've got a drill plan or like a plan. Can you run us through that a little bit? I'm not sure if that's been announced, but I see something in your PowerPoint here as well.
Yeah, so we've honestly had it mapped out for a couple of years now. And so the plan is for 4 drill holes up to 500 meters. The new lady we have, Mariana, suggests we don't need to go that deep, so it would save us some money. But the nice thing about lithium brine is very homogeneous. So you can do 3 or 4 holes and get an initial or maiden resource versus a mining asset, gold, silver, copper, where you have to drill 30, 40 holes to get an initial resource. And so it'll be about $1 million plus to do that, which is extremely cheap in the game of exploration. And again, the results could be very, very good, and I hope they are. As someone who's been invested in this time and money, it's super exciting, and we're trying to bring on a few other strategic partners to help with this asset.
No, fantastic. Do you have any budget plan ideas already, like for that, like 4 holes, 500 meters deep? That's 2,000 meters of drilling. It's brine.
It's about $1 million and a half Canadian, which is not a lot.
Okay, and you're financed for that, obviously, from what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So you don't need to raise any capital once you get the permits or anything.
No.
So we can take that risk off the table there. Fantastic.
I would say, though, that if we are able to get this transaction complete with the community, we would be the only other company with an agreement with this community. And I think that opens up a lot of doors for us. So I wouldn't be shocked if a third party comes knocking once this agreement is done. Again, I can't guarantee anything, but we're doing our best to get it done. We're very close.
Let's play the hypothetical game for a second. Like, how much would you ideally like to spend on the project? What does it really deserve? Because like, what's the, like, in the end, my question probably is targeting like what's the plan overall? Where do you think this is going? What's the size of the prize there, Max?
I mean, if you're going to PEA and then into PFS, you're probably looking at 30 million plus. So, the initial money gets us initial resource. And then obviously, as exploration does, we would have to either bring in a partner or finance, but based on the success of those numbers would allow us to do so. But, I think that having a proper resource in Chile. I know that Chile's looking forward to developing assets very soon. They need to. Listen, they have the second highest, they have the highest grade salars in the world. They have the second largest lithium reserves in the world. The fact is they need this economically. And so things will occur. And I'm very happy that if we're able to come out with a resource, I don't think we would last very long in this market before a third party comes along.
Yeah, no, it sounds very interesting there, Max. Let's summarize a bit like our conversation as well. With the question is like, what does the news flow look like now over the coming months? What are some of the next steps? And you've got the natural gas assets there in New Zealand, and of course the lithium assets there in Chile. So chronologically, what can we expect next from the company?
There should be something next week. There should be something the following week. I would say over the next 6 weeks, there should be at least 3 announcements. And, as New Zealand progresses and starts drilling the wells, we will also, announce those too, because obviously their success helps with our successes as one of their largest shareholders.
Fantastic. Awesome. Max, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate that company introduction. Good luck. Of course, we'll be keeping an eye on the news flow here as well, and hope to welcome you back for some updates.
Thank you so much, Kai.
Fantastic. Everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this company introduction here to Monumental Energy. They have lots on the go, as you've just heard. Make sure to follow us as well. Hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment, and we will bring Max back on for some more updates, of course, in the future. Just let us know. Do you want to see Max back again here on the channel? Would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back with lots more here on the Gold Newsletter channel.